As gas prices continue to rise across the country, it's over $6 a gallon in Los Angeles right now. Solutions are elusive, except for the solution used by millions of people every day, taking the goddamn bus. Here to talk about his fervent love of public transportation and how it's more important than ever, it's the star of Netflix's The G Word. Please welcome Adam Conover.
Hello. Hello.
Good to see you, Adam.
Which of these cards should I sit on?
It's fine. It's fine. It's part of the fun. It's part of the fun.
Hi, everybody.
So, Adam.
Yeah.
You have a bus fetish. You love buses. You think they're sexually interesting.
Yeah, I'm a bus boy.
You're a bus boy.
I'm famously a bus boy.
Did you take a bus here tonight?
No, tonight Netflix sent like a whole car service for me to come here tonight. Because this is officially a stop on my PR tour for my new Netflix show, The G Word, out now on Netflix.
Oh, I didn't realize that you considered this like a work thing.
I mean, I would spend time with you on a personal level, but no, tonight, right now,
you
I'm
said
working
that
hard.
Literally, the last time I saw you, you said it on this fucking stage. We had this conversation. We had this conversation on stage, and I said, I don't believe you. We're never going to hang out socially.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't dress this nice if it wasn't for work, you know?
You look fantastic.
Thank you so much. So do you.
So I recently, Adam, please. You've talked about basically giving up your car, and switching entirely to public transportation,
Correct.
which is rare for somebody, in LA who's a big deal. All right, you're a big fucking deal. You got that
moderate deal.
You're interviewing Obama on Netflix. All right,
that's true.
So talk a little bit about why you decided like I'm done driving. I'm going to do public transportation virtually whenever I can.
So so first of all, an important bit of background is that I learned to drive in my 30s when I moved to Los Angeles.
Interesting.
I grew up on Long Island, which is a place where you need to have a car. One person clapped very slowly for Long Island.
We're in Long Island. I'm a Syosset boy.
On Long Island? I grew up in Wading River.
That's not
pretty far
I've never
east.
heard of that.
It's on Long Island.
Okay. It's rare to hear a town in Long Island I haven't heard of.
It's in the North Shore. It's in farm country by Shoreham near.
Shoreham, okay.
I was born in Port Jefferson.
Port Jeff. What was the stop on the LAR?
Ronkonkoma, and then it was like a half-hour drive.
Wow, a half-hour past Ronkonkoma.
Yeah, it was a while past Ronkonkoma. Yeah.
Wow. Ronkonkoma.
Ronkonkoma,
a place that exists only in dreams.
One of the
at the
great
end
words.
of the line. So you grew up on Long Island, but didn't learn to drive.
I didn't learn to drive. I went to college. I didn't learn to drive there. I lived in New York City.
Why didn't you learn to drive on Long Island?
I have pretty bad eyesight. I'm legally blind in my left eye. I have poor depth perception, and I have attention deficit disorder. And I think both of those things combined made me like not comfortable generally behind the wheel of a car.
That has literally stopped no one from driving. Have you seen it out this pandemonium out there?
My dad also had like a control thing about just like he was a bad teacher. You know what I mean? It was like very tense in the car. My sister never learned to drive either, so I think it might have been a little bit of a parental thing. But in any case, I was just never really comfortable with it. But I moved to LA. I learned to drive, and I drove here for 3 years. My original commute, as soon as I moved here, was from Echo Park to West Hollywood. Terrible commute. 45 minutes, just bumper to bumper. But I did it. I ate it up. I was like, this is how you must live.
You bet.
And then after about 3 or 4 years, I was driving home. I had a new commute just from downtown to Echo Park. Nice short commute. And I was driving home, and I suddenly, there was a bicyclist next to me on the shoulder, but there wasn't enough of a shoulder, so I couldn't go around him. So I was going kind of slow, but people started honking at me.
Yeah, I get angry.
And so I was like, all right, I'll get in the left lane so I can go around. So I get in the left lane, but then someone's coming up behind me real fast. Zoom, they honk at me.
You bet.
And suddenly my heart is pounding. I get home like all upset. I've been having a nice day at work, but in the course of my 15-minute commute, I was like, I almost killed somebody. I'm stressed out. That day, I looked up. I was like, let me just see something I'd never done before. Let me just see if there's a bus route from my house to my work. There was. It's called the Dash Bus. It cost 35 cents, and it brought me to work in like 40 minutes instead of 50 minutes, more like 40 minutes. But I got to like fucking sit and read a New Yorker and, just like look at the people on the bus. Nice sunny day. And my life was immeasurably improved. And I just became, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do fucking public transportation in LA. And then when my girlfriend and I moved, we moved specifically to a spot where it was accessible to a couple bus lines and things like that. And that is how I get around. I have to take my fair share of ride shares, depending on where I go. But I avoid doing that as much as I can. I take the buses as much as I can, and I love it. It makes my life better.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So, LA recently decided to return to charging full fare, right? For people to ride
During the
bus.
pandemic, they made it free for people to ride the bus, and they went back to charging full fare, which is a terrible decision.
The bus should be free, right?
The bus should be free. I mean, we have this weird obsession with the idea that public transportation should pay for itself. You know what doesn't pay for itself? Roads.
They don't pay for themselves.
Like, we're all paying for those with taxes. We're all using them for free. You know, you don't have to pay to get on the road. You pay for it with your taxes, as you do for public transportation. The way we need to look at it is roads are a form of public transportation that we all pay into, that we all upkeep together. It's just the least efficient mode of public transportation possible, where in order to get on, you have to pay $15,000 to $30,000 for a vehicle. You have to pay hundreds of dollars a month for insurance, to fuel it, repair it. You have to literally buy insurance for your car. Most people can't afford insurance for their own bodies. You have to buy insurance for your Toyota Corolla just to get on the fucking thing. So why not? Why not just like literally take away that little bit from the bus system? From that little bit of barrier to it.
You talk a little bit about like just how cheap it would be to make public transportation free in LA.
Oh, it would be incredibly cheap. I mean, the stats for, I don't have it exactly here, but like the amount of Metro's budget that comes in from fares is minuscule. It's somewhere around 10% or less of their entire budget. And that is pretty close to what they spend on fare enforcement, on having people just like, sometimes you're getting off the train and there'll be people like checking to see if you swiped. And you're just paying to occasionally give people tickets for jumping a stile when we don't need to be. Like the system is fully funded through taxes in every other way. And so it's bizarre. And the strangest thing about public transportation in LA is that compared to when I moved here from New York City, is that in New York City, at least prior to the pandemic, almost everybody took public transportation. Yeah. Everyone's on the subway all the time, right? And that's part of why the system works as well as it does. It doesn't work that well in New York, but it's the best public transportation system in America. And it's because everybody takes it. In Los Angeles, we have a mental class divide about public transportation. Public transportation is for poor people in Los Angeles. That's how it's perceived. And so that's why when I come places and I do jokes on stage about taking the bus, and people are like, really? You really took it? I've never taken the bus before. Why? I've never met anyone who's ever taken the bus before. I thought those were ghost buses. Who are on these things? Like it's normal people. It's just people who make less money than you. But we don't have we have this sort of internalized belief that those people should be punished for riding public transportation. They need to pay to get. I don't need to pay to drive my Tesla on a public street, but someone who's making $20,000 a year cleaning other people's homes, they need to pay $1.75 to take the bus.
It is interesting, this sort of class divide, because when I lived in New York, I rode the subway constantly. Love riding the subway in New York. When I lived in DC, I rode a bike. Okay,
I spilled water all over myself. It's boxed water. That's why.
It's the worst.
It says on the side, boxed water is better. Okay, can I just give an aside for a second?
Please do.
The problem with bottled water is not the packaging material. It's the fact that we're transporting water on trucks, okay? Water comes from taps. It's free to transport it around through pipes. We're putting it on trucks and we're burning fossil fuels to transport it. Just the fact that you put it in a fucking box doesn't mean you deserve a medal.
Also, the box tastes worse than the plastic. And it's time we face that too. And I hate boxed water. It tastes like the box.
and that's my problem with it.
And because it's a stupid way to drink water. The box sucks. Okay. The box stinks. Back to the conversation at hand now. When I first moved to LA, one of the first things I did was buy a bicycle, because I biked around DC. Like in DC, I took the bus and rode a bike constantly. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I moved to LA and I got a bike and I took my bike on Santa Monica Boulevard, and then I turned around and I went home and I threw the bike away and I said goodbye to you. I want to live. I love life and I want to live.
It's the most deadly city for biking in America.
It stinks, but I do think that like this is a car culture play. It's famously a place that is devoted to car culture. What do you think explains this divide that I think doesn't exist as strongly in other places? Like if you live in DC, the kind of there's a huge kind of cross section of the city that rides the bus all the time, like young professionals, people going to work at at downtown
DC
hotels.
has a wonderful subway system too.
Yes, and a great subway system. What do you think is the reason LA has this very specific class divide that isn't as strong in places like New York or DC or elsewhere?
I think it's because I don't understand why this is the case in Los Angeles, because it's not the case even in San Francisco. Another city that was founded around the same time, same state and everything. But Los Angeles has never invested in public goods, in things that everybody can use. It's a city based on private property. We have very few public parks. We have Griffith Park, which is mostly a shitty mountain.
Hey, no, you take that back. It's a beautiful place. Fuck that. I'm not going to have that here.
Parks in LA, okay, if you go to a public park in New York City, go into Prospect Park. You'll see a sign up, activities in the park today. We've got like book readings for kids and shit like that.
I'm sorry. Is yoga not happening in Laurel Canyon? Am I hallucinating?
It is, but it's a private yoga studio as opposed to parks in LA tend to be, hey, we happen to not build any buildings on the side of this mountain. You can go wander around in it if you want. Like we have private country clubs, private golf courses. We're lucky that we have a really good public library system, so we're the only few public goods in the city. And as a result, it's a city that was built on the idea that you will be in your private home, you will drive your private car to a private place of work, and then you will come back. And everything public is like shitty. It sucks. And we used to have ideas. We used to have the idea in America that like public things were good, right?
Yeah.
Like public goods were some of the highest things our civilization could build. And we have sort of fallen away from that. It's actually a big part of what my new show, The G Word, is about. It is truly about that the thing that government provides that cannot be provided in any other way is public goods. So things like the National Weather Service, which provides all of our weather forecasts. Every weather forecast you see on the news derives from the National Weather Service, which we all publicly fund. None of us realize that we're funding it. And in fact, the private weather companies are constantly trying to undermine it. But that is literally the only way to predict the weather, is to everybody pools their money together and creates this incredible network of scientists that are all generating data. They're flying planes through hurricanes. All this shit we show you on the show. It's like a really important part of how our civilization runs. There are certain things that you can only provide in that way. And one of them is transportation. And it's something that we have like forgotten about as a civilization. It's a big part of the mission of the show to show that.
Well, yeah, I feel we've forgotten it, but also there was a 40-year campaign to destroy it.
Exactly right. Yeah, and we go through a lot of that history on the show that like to undermine the idea of publicly funded anything as a good thing.
Last question, if you could get one promise out of Karen Bass for what she was due as mayor around public transportation, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Well, so that's a really good question, because Karen Bass does not actually have, if were she to be elected mayor, would not have much jurisdiction over Metro, because Metro is the county rather than the city. She can appoint 5 people to the Metro board. I know too much about this shit.
No, you don't. You know the exact right amount. By the way, the longer I live in Los Angeles, the more convinced I am that what I want to do is do some kind of a coup against the Board of Supervisors. I feel like these fucking people need to be stopped. Yeah. I don't like this county-city overlap. I think it's bad, and I think we should stop it.
I agree. My pitch,
got Barbara Ferrer running this city.
My pitch is what we need to do: make the county and city coterminous. Just make it one city,
like
right?
like New York County and Manhattan.
Culver City,
coterminous.
Culver City. Why is this a city? I have a friend who lives there. He said, I voted for mayor of Culver City. I'm like, mayor of what? It's like 5 blocks. Why do you guys? And it causes enormous problems in the city and county. So, but what would I say to Karen Bass? The number one thing is that A, they should make it fare free. Number two is we need to massively increase service. One of the worst things that they did was during the pandemic, ridership went down, and so they cut bus service. Now ridership is back up, but bus service is still cut. So that means that if you're waiting for a bus, instead of waiting for 5 minutes or 7 minutes, you're waiting for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Now there's a wonderful app called the Transit app, shows you exactly when the buses are coming. It can get you around that, and that's what I do. I don't leave my house until I see the buses coming.
Smart.
But if you were to run buses constantly, here's a pitch, okay? And I'll be brief, okay? You folks might know Sunset Boulevard around Echo Park and Silver Lake, right? It's one of these shopping districts. People love to go to brunch. They love to go to all the little boutiques and shit like that, right?
Warby Parker.
Warby Parker store is there, right? Traffic is terrible. It's actually worst on the weekends because there's people who are people are trying to go from brunch to Warby Parker to whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
And there's very little parking.
Sweet
right?
Greene.
There is parking. Sweet Greene. You like to eat at Sweet Greene?
No one likes Sweet Greene. It's
office food. You're eating that on the weekend?
I don't know.
You're eating your office lunch food on the weekend? Let me get a fucking Naomi Osaka bowl on a Sunday? Are you a pervert? What the fuck is this?
I am a deviant. Sweet Greene is the closest thing. The progressive class has found to a feed bag.
It truly is. I eat it all the time.
And the dressing, it's not enough. Where's this where they're saving?
My girlfriend orders it to our house, and I'm like, are we in like an office building?
Yeah.
Like, don't do this to me.
I don't want Sweet Greene unless I'm spending the afternoon trying to crack a story.
So yeah, it's like I need to be looking at Twitter while I eat. They should have Twitter just in front of you at the Sweet Greene so you can just read it.
Yeah.
So here's my pitch. Traffic is really terrible in that area. There's parking up and down the side of the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't need parking on the side of Sunset Boulevard. It's 5 cars per every quarter mile. It's extremely inefficient.
Yeah.
There's very little parking, right? Take the parking away, put a bus only lane, run a bus there every 5 minutes. Guarantee the bus will come every 5 minutes. You will have people say, "Oh, I don't need to drive from place to place. I can go to Sunset Boulevard and I can just like get on a bus and go up and down."
Well, like
right?
the Dash bus is great. The Dash bus is great.
Dash bus is wonderful.
But they just
they go around in circles. I got one applauder. We got one numbtot in the back. If we increase, you have to increase the amount of service if you want people to use it.
Yes,
people don't take the bus because they're like, the bus never comes. If they think the bus comes very often because it does, then they will take it more often. That's the most important
We need a
thing.
virtuous circle, not a vicious circle.
Exactly.
That's what I
right.
think.
Exactly.
That's what
right.
I think.
And it is the cheapest. It is the cheapest way to improve the economy of the city because people will be able to get to fucking work. It's an essential.
Like I was thinking back, just like it is a great, just becoming reliant on the bus and just you don't have to think about your car. And you can just, and you know the bus is going to come and you know the routes and it's internalized and it's a better way. It is nice.
And it is a freedom.
I like my Tesla though.
What I really like
It's a great vehicle. Elon makes a fantastic car.
I'm gonna ignore what you're saying.
Here's the thing about it is that like what's amazing about it is that like yeah, he didn't invent anything, but neither did Henry Ford. You know what I mean? He just found a better way to do it. And like I fucking love my Tesla.
It's
my favorite part about it is that none of the parts of the car are sealed properly. So you really can feel the road and hear the road because you're basically in a tent.
The water gets in.
Yeah. I also, you feel like you're part of nature inside of that car because of how poorly it's constructed. I also like that.
Can't get it repaired. That's nice.
I like that aspect of it. I also think it's cool how it rattles and that if you stop one rattle, it moves elsewhere.
Here's if I can just make a final pitch about this. I've pitched so many things. We're in the writer's room. Okay, I'm pitching. What I really try to emphasize about public transportation is it's not about the cost. It's not about the environment. It's that it really does make your life better. Like when I came to LA and I was like, okay, I got to drive to work. Then afterwards, there's a party I want to go to. I have to drive back to my house to drop off my car so I can take a lift to the party so I can go get drunk at the party, right? If you just leave your car at home, you get to the place you're going another way, the possibilities open to you of how you can get home. You can meet a friend and say, oh, hey, where are you going?
Let's go do an escape room. Let's go do an escape room.
Exactly. Let's go do an escape room.
Let's go do an escape room.
After work.
No, I appreciate
You have
that.
to babysit your car to get it home.
I'm glad you made that point because I do think so often on the left the arguments are from virtue, and that's fine. Like I'm glad that we want to make the best case we can for why it's a good thing to do for the world. But what I appreciated about your argument for public transport is like I like it. My life is better because of it. It is a good thing to do for me because I do think that like we do plenty of encouraging people to eat their vegetables. Yeah, you know what I mean. But like actually like. You know, this is like when you put cheese on the broccoli.
You know how I get to my barber? Here's what I do. On a Saturday, I get really high, I get on the bus, and I listen to jazz, all right? It's what I do. And I listen to jazz. I listen to a man named Sam Wilkes and Sam Gendel. They play saxophone and bass. And I'm so glad that you think so. And dappled sunlight filters through the windows of the bus, and I watch the city go by. I look at my fellow passengers, and I just fucking bliss out. You're sitting in your Tesla, white knuckling, listening to a podcast you hate. I might as well get through this one too. We're just chilling on the bus.
Adam Conover, everybody. Everybody. Seriously, I am so excited for the G word. There is nobody who's doing a better job of telling the story in an entertaining and informative way about the importance of government and the work we need to do to kind of restore public goods in this country. Adam Conover, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Check out the G word. Now it's time for OK Stop.
Okay.
Here's how it works. It's Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're just going to, whenever we want, we just say OK Stop and we comment on their nonsense.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Yeah. Let's roll the clip.
I would rather give Nancy Pelosi a sponge bath than endure like one dinner with
disgusting.
Adam Schiff.
Okay, stop.
Wow, that's a hell of a way to start the clip.
Well, here's the thing.
I was first shocked that they were talking to each other. That's just too much for me.
It's weird to see them in conversation.
Yeah,
it's like they're very much. I do think of like these kind of extremist right wing Republicans as like how children. They have to get to a certain level of maturity before they move away from parallel play. Like you have to get to a certain level of brain function before you start playing with each other. Like at first they're just little toddlers will just sit and they'll play by themselves.
Yeah.
And you have to grow up a little bit to start figuring how to interact.
Yeah.
I don't think of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz as having the kind of mental and kind of social acuity to interact with each other. They should just be straight to camera, alone.
Right. Well, but giving Nancy Pelosi a sponge bath is a weird thing to pop into your mind of something you wouldn't want to do. I think he wants it.
Well, he's saying that he would rather give Nancy Pelosi a sponge bath than have dinner, just a meal with Adam Schiff. Right? And
wow.
And I think he's trying to say he really doesn't like Adam Schiff, right? That's the joke.
Yeah, right, but what's bad about having a meal with Adam Schiff?
That's not better than
giving Nancy Pelosi a sponge bath.
Right, because like a sponge bath, it's head. You got to get every area.
Right.
This is also such a hacky joke. Giving old person a sponge bath. This is an '80s joke. This is like old Leno or something.
Yeah.
This is it.
It's very first idea.
It's very first thought. He could punch it up a little bit.
Also, man, I mean, what a disgrace to the foodies out there. It's like I'd rather eat dinner with anyone than give anyone a sponge bath.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I just don't want to give anyone a sponge bath, and having dinner with someone's not a big deal.
I would rather work in a senior care facility. For my job, I would rather, for my gainful employment, give senior citizens sponge baths, one of whom is Nancy Pelosi. I want to leave Congress and become a nurse in a hospice care facility rather than have one dinner with a guy I dislike.
My view is this incredibly important service that healthcare providers offer, which is taking care of people who need help getting clean in order to kind of not become more sick because of their incapacity. This incredible act of generosity and care and love for a fellow human being, an act of a nurse to kind of take care of someone who's infirm by cleaning them and helping them in their hour of greatest need. I would rather do that
than eat dinner.
Than have a couple
really nice.
Burger King with fucking shifty Schiff.
Well, how would he feel if we threw in like an exfoliating thing? Instead of a sponge, like a rough bath for Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. I would rather make sure Nancy Pelosi's skin is glowing.
Right.
I would rather help remove all the dead elbow skin. and really kind of give her a nice kind of fresh kind
I'd
of...
rather rub her neck in emo oil so she gets that glow.
No, I'm with Matt Gaetz at this point because seriously, Nancy Pelosi, she needs the help. You could give her a whole new life. You know, you could give her a wonderful, or you could schmooze with Schiff. Come on. That's selfish. You're going to chat up the representative from California. Give me a break. No, go help out the old lady who needs a sponge bath.
Right.
That's the more selfish.
Would it have blown your mind if he was like, I'd rather give Nancy Pelosi a sponge bath than Adam Schiff a sponge bath? Like he just really loves Nancy.
I would rather give Nancy Pelosi a sponge bath than see Top Gun 2. Let's keep rolling the clip.
But just to bring this into Technicolor for you, okay, like a lot of people would say maybe Pelosi is their least favorite member. No way.
But
Schiff
would you
is like
trim her
utterly
toenails?
the most.
Would you trim her toenails?
I would trim her toenails with my teeth before I would go to.
Okay,
dinner.
stop.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot that this escalates. So so the picture he's painting, right? So Nancy Pelosi, I assume this is before this, maybe after the sponge bath. I guess you want, of course, it's after the sponge bath. You want the toenails to be soft.
Yeah.
So he's saying rather than just sitting down having dinner with TJ Fridays with Adam Schiff, he's rather put Nancy Pelosi's feet in his mouth.
Yeah. He's like full spa day mani-pedis with Nancy Pelosi than any meal with Adam Schiff. That's insane. You won't? Will you? I'd rather clip her toenails, wash her feet, give her a massage, give her a full stretch out, a full jazzercise class, than give Adam Schiff one of my 2 Twix bars, and rather than split a Twix.
It is truly baffling to me if we were to say, hey, Matt, I know you're hungry. It's like 8 p.m. We've been working all day. You're really hungry. All right. Adam Schiff got Boston Market. All right. He got a rotisserie chicken. He got some greens. You can come eat it. Or over here, we have a bowl of Nancy Pelosi's toenails. Which would you rather eat? You're hungry.
So
he's not going to eat the Boston Market.
Yeah, come on. Adam Schiff is sitting at a tablecloth. There's the cornbread, there's the chicken, there's the mac and cheese, there's a candle at the center. He's sitting. It's a beautiful table. No one's close, so you can really feel comfortable. You know, sometimes you sit on a banquette, you're too close, it changes the vibe. This is empty, just the two of you. And Adam has promised it'll be less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just shovel it and go.
Yeah.
Down the hall, Nancy Pelosi, ready for both either dealer's choice, sponge bath, or toe clipping. I just don't believe him. I think the thing is, I don't think he's right.
Yeah,
I think he would sit down with that. And also, by the way,
eat with Adam Schiff.
once in a while, a meal with someone you hate is fantastic, right? Once in a long while, you sit across from someone you cannot stand, and you just go in, kind of guns blazing, and you're like, I'm going to make this a conversation. And you know what? You don't want to do it a second time, but it's better than sponge baths.
This feels like the beginning of a weird Snickers commercial.
Yeah.
Like, are you hungry?
Are you? Let's keep rolling it.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Or Adam
All right,
Schiff, I should say.
So here's how I feel about Adam Schiff. I feel that Adam Schiff is such a liar, and I feel like he has abused his power in Congress so much so with the Russia hoax and now the January 6th complete lie. I think he should be expelled from Congress. And I think he owes a debt to the American people for all the tax dollars that he has wasted, emotional harm, complete and total. He destroyed people's character through his efforts, and he's continuing to do so. I honestly think that he should actually possibly be prosecuted. And
Okay, stop.
Okay, stop.
She sounds like she's learned everything she knows about politics from binge watching Law and Order.
Yeah.
Just using the big words she's learned. Dereliction of duty.
she's just really spitballing, you know.
Yeah.
She's like, and then I think he should possibly maybe go to prison, and perhaps they should put him in the shoe. And you know, now that I think of it, the chair could be good for him. I don't know.
Maybe like I don't know. I had this idea like maybe we make him naked, march down the street from the chapel to the Capitol, shouting shame with a bell. Maybe a nun's involved. Just spitballing here.
This lady makes me feel guilty about all the shit I said about Sarah Palin. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, give me two Sarah. I would rather give Sarah Palin the sponge bath than have this lady be
Man. Let's keep rolling it.
Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene disagreement, because I would not
Really?
expel him from Congress. I would not allow him to sit on committees, but I fundamentally believe the only people that should get to pick who's in Congress are the people in that district. And
I
when they did it
respect
to
that.
you, I did not like it, and I would not expel him from Congress. I would probably just like keep him in that englassed case up in the rafters of the Congress that Nancy Pelosi
they took
built.
it down.
No, they took down the Nancy
COVID
Pelosi COVID box.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's
I
COVID
would
box.
rebuild it for Adam Schiff.
Okay, I just want to make one point here, which is he's very much against people being expelled from Congress because that's a principle he feels may be quite relevant to him.
Yeah, nobody cares if there's a couple rent boys on your credit card, okay? I'm a Republican through and through.
And that's okay, stop!
Respect it.